Is networking for everyone? Well, the short answer is no, but I'll explain a bit more in a sec, because it's the Marketing for Owners podcast, and it's me, John Bowen, and it is a glorious day here in the wonderful United Kingdom. Yes, that one you've read about in the news. Oh, by the way, if you are listening to this later on, like a year later or in the winter, it was a glorious day when I recorded it. I believe it's going to be the hottest day of the year. We'll find out later. So, networking. Now, it's funny, this comes from personal experience. In my previous business, like Triangle Fire Protection, built up the Southeast England's one of the largest independent fire protection companies that was sold to the £1 billion Kidder PLC back in 2003. We had many large customers, many little customers, but I had a team. I didn't actually get to visit and meet customers, so I didn't have to go to networking things. And also, then with Fire Protection Online, we're kind of like Amazon in the way we work. We're an e-commerce store. We don't have salespeople, and we don't go out to visit customers. And so, networking events wouldn't really be of benefit to me because they're more local, and we're nationwide. In fact, we have customers all over the world. So, I have avoided networking events like the plague for years, and I've always been quite pleased to be able to avoid them because it's really not my thing. Some people love them, but not me. However, with Marketing for Owners, I have building a reputation in my local county, and people want to hear what I've got to say, apparently. And also other people recommend me, so I need to get out and about. And so I go to various networking events. But I find that at many of these events, it's the same people, the very same people. And by the way, there are various networking events. I am not in the BNI, or in Kent we have Bob clubs. I'm not even sure what that is, or if they're nationwide. So I'm talking about more, and there are network breakfasts, there's all kinds of things. I'm talking more certain events that I go to, but they're always the same people. But what I'm thinking to myself, and I was talking to a friend who is an expert networker about this, is should people really be doing this? Is this for them? And I just want to give you some thoughts. If you do want to do networking, or you are currently doing it, just think a little about what you're doing. So, first of all, the type of events I go to tend to be business to business. Because that's where my customers are. I'm not dealing with what you'd call consumers, end users, people like me. I'm dealing with people who are in business. So I need to find people who are in business, and so I need to populate those kind of areas. Now, I don't exhibit. That's another thing. I personally feel get more benefit by moving around, talking to the many people walking around, rather than standing on a stand and paying out the money. But even now, most of the people I'm meeting are the same people that I've met before. It's the same crowd. And what I feel is that for some, when I've talked to them, they go to all the networking events because it's what they do. It's their, some will describe it as their main source of marketing. However, it's going to stagnate. If you are at similar events where the same people are going all the time, then you're going to eventually run out of steam. You're going to run out of leads. Or the people that have talked to you before are going to talk to you again because they're friends, you've seen them often, or they're acquaintances rather, and they're going to suck time. They're going to just chat, and you're going to chat to them because that's polite, and then you're going to be wasting time. Now, if you think of one of the events I go to, it's quite feasible to be there for a few hours. Of course, you might want to listen to a speaker. Fine, that's great if you want to do that. But if you're there for 4 hours, what else could you have been doing in the 4 hours. Now, for that type of networking, would it have been just as simple to contact people via LinkedIn to build a relationship? Because when you meet people at one of these events, you're not selling, or I hope you're not, you shouldn't be selling, you're just trying to get the basics of, to get to know someone and to find out if they are a potential lead. They're not even a lead at this point, a potential lead. So in which case, I don't advise you give them your card unless they ask for it, but certainly take their card and then take control so that you may wish to contact them at a later date and arrange to go meet them and talk some more. Get to know them, build a relationship, and then if you can offer services, if it's appropriate, then take it from there. But first of all, for networking, decide what your audience is. See, there are people at these business-to-business events that are selling pushing the wrong kind of products. They would be better off at other type of events. Also, there are some that just go to network breakfasts, and quite often in a network breakfast that I go to, people are given 1 minute or 2 minutes on each table to explain who they are, what they do. And again, most people have not practiced what they do. It's all I am, I do this, we that. No explanation of benefits to any users of giving interest. And quite often I listen to people around the table and find that half of them sound the same as the others. You could just close your eyes and you can guess who said what, and then it's a business card exchanging thing. And of course, when we get back, we can't remember whose card is whose, and we throw half of them away. Is that what you're after? If you are a business supplier, perhaps it is. Perhaps you think, so for instance, at one of the latest ones I went to, the person sitting next to me was a printer, and she was new. Now, that's fine, because she's going to build these up, but my advice to her is not to go to them forever, because people think, oh, there's the printer, I won't talk to them. But also she should niche down. Not everyone is going to be a printing customer. I mean, she spoke to me, we're not going to be a printing customer, we don't do that kind of thing. So, but if you want to be in something like the BNI, a lot of people go to a BNI type event. Again, if you're B2B, it's probably not going to work as well, because it's going to be small and local, and it's going to be more effective if you deal with householders or consumers. So, for example, if you are a plumber, you can team up with an electrician and recommend each other's services. If you are an insurance agent that deals with domestic insurance, then that's probably good. If you are a banker and looking for domestic banking, that's good. But if it's commercial, probably not so beneficial. So my advice is, make sure this is of benefit to you. Figure out how much time you spend and figure out the return on investment. So write down how often you go to an event, how much time you spend, how many leads you get directly from these events, and how many of those leads you can convert into clients and into money. And then work out the average lifetime value of your customer over a year or two, depending on what you think is appropriate, and then reverse engineer that back into the amount of the benefit you get in the return on your time, and work out if it was worth it, and of course any associated costs. But the other thing I say is vary the ones you go to. Don't get stuck in your comfort zone, and don't ever think, oh, I'm always at these, if I didn't turn up people would wonder what's wrong. No, they wouldn't. They'd think, gosh, they're out doing some other marketing. So that's the thing, is networking may be for you, it may be not, but do not do it because it's what you always do. And don't go to all of them because they're not all for you. Work out what's appropriate. And that's it. Of course, I'm not saying this as an expert networker, I'm hopeless. But just my observations as a marketer. Okay. Now it's Thursday, time for a drive time podcast for when you're commuting. This one's good. It's from Dave Ramsey's business, but it's actually called the EntreLeadership Podcast. So like entrepreneur, but with leadership, EntreLeadership. And it's hosted by a guy called Ken Coleman. And they take lessons from top authors, Simon Sinek and people like that, and Gary Vaynerchuk, and they discuss them. But they have good guests. It's once a week. It's about 40 to 50 minutes. It's very, very well done and very, very interesting. I strongly recommend the EntreLeadership Podcast. Go listen. You'll find it on iTunes. I'm sure it's on Stitcher and all those things. But just Google that term or search for it in iTunes. You'll find it very easily. I recommend it. I'll be back tomorrow.